Okay, so again, Ois Vov, final Ois, which we just started. So what you recall at the beginning of the Maimer, the Shaila was that the Medrash explains the brachas of Yitzchak is referring to Torah. First of all, Torah was given later, number one, and secondly, Beruchnius Yaakov had Torah already. So now he's going to answer. So we'll explain the Medrash that explains all the brachas, the details of the brachas of Yitzchak, that the dew of heaven is Mikra, is Psukim, is Tanakh, Chumash. Mishman Ya'aretz Mishnah, the fat of the land, is Mishnah, Dogon, as Chlal Chitim goes on Gemara, on halachas, Dogen the Talmud, and Tirosh, remember, is a God, the Heinisha Bracha, the Veyiten Likim, Binyan Torah. That the Bracha is Torah, so why? Binyan Bazesh, but Torah Gufa. So what are we learning in the whole Ma'im? But the whole Ma'il is the Birchas Yitzchak Dafke, Gvur is the Atik, which comes in the way of water, Ver Chayzer. So therefore, that in Guf itself, Tzachli, is Aved Leirak, Bei from the Yashar. And this is all given to Yaakov because he needs, a Yid needs to have both Avodas Tzadikim, that's one Eifen. But it also has to be Al-Gam Eifen, the Erchayzer, Al-Derech Avodas Abali Tshuva, that has to be the Avodah Abali Tshuva. Zeh Mashin is Chadish, Bebirchas Yitzchak, Binyan HaTorah. And this is what Yitzchak was Mechadish, him being the Inyan of Gvura, in the Inyan of Torah, Shekolos Avodah Torah mitzvahs ti b'efen shel yigia v'kabolos el dafke. That Yitzchak at Avram's Avodah of Chesed, it's love, house of love and prayer. Anybody visited that? Chaim, maybe you saw it. You were there. Shleim Olav Shalom is very good, but it's all love and prayer and Chesed. It's good, but it's a hakdoma. Then there has to be the Avodah of Yitzchak, the Avodah of Yigia. So in the Yigia, the Kabbalah's oil, the Hein B'negeh l'limedat Torah. This applies to limedat Torah, which is what we're talking about. Shal limet tzarich is befen shal Yigia dafke is the toil. Not an armchair study and spoon-fed and easy, but he's got a toil. Brech in the cup, you're going to break your head, as the expression goes. Shalochein tzarich lilmed yosim regilus. He has to learn more than he's accustomed to. It means it's in quantity and quality. Well, if you know that the Rebbe asked that in Limud Rambam, Bemis to understand Rambam even Pashut, you also have to hear of a bit. But once you've learned it through, so you know it. So, more or less. So then the Rebbe said at least one halacha to learn be'iyun a little bit. At least one halacha, if you learn Gimel Prakim, one perek. One, to look in the Farshim a bit. Just giving one example of Yosim Regilus. And if that becomes his Regilus, then we push it further. Not just Torah, but mitzvahs. Or maybe mitzvahs at tzedakah. We're getting so hard-hitting words here, friends. Sheklolis kol ha-mitzvah tzedakah is all mitzvahs. He doesn't bring the footnote, but it's Yerushalmi. That all mitzvahs are called b'shem tzedakah. Shetzarech liyas b'efen shel kfiyah dafke, that a person has to compel himself. Implied by the statement brought in Gemara, echen halacha ma'asin al tzedakah, the bezdin will force the person to give tzedakah, and maloshin kfiyah. So that's how they're describing him giving tzedakah, ma'asin, kfiyah, compulsion. Suppose has to give more commission because of mishpat tzedakah b'Yaakov. Talking about Yaakov here, ata asis, justice and tzedakah in Yaakov you did. What's the connection between justice? It's not two separate things. Justice and tzedakah. He's teaching that it's one Inyan. Shat tzedakah tzarich li is b'efen shel mishpat, that tzedakah has to be as a result of an honest assessment. Sheshofet is asma, he judges himself. Leidem amuchrichloi. What does he taka need? V'chol hashar. This is and the rest of it nice and tzedakah. He gives the tzedakah, and that's the kind of tzedakah that Rabbi demands from us. Akalponim, to approach that, Avoid has to be in a way that he breaks his nature, and he adds al pitoira, because there's a negative breaking. We're not talking about a negative breaking that breaks and shatters the person. This, on the contrary, this is the greatest empowerment, this kind of shvira, this bittul. So if it breaks, if it leads to the opposite of empowerment, of strength, it's an unhealthy shvira, and it's not a pitoira. So it's got to be al pitoira v'araya shvira setev. He's giving more tzedakah. He's doing more, not less. Not giving up on himself. On the contrary, demanding of himself. Now another touch. Before he touched reich begodov, why he had to be dressed in the Yaakov. Tell me what was the first touch? The of why he had to be dressed in his clothing dafke. First touch. You can go back and have a look at it. Previous page at the bottom, at the very bottom. The last line of the previous page. Hint. What does begidda mean? Livgoid. Begid means what? Treacherously. It's betrayal. So therefore, had he touched it before? What's the thinking of Yaakov being dressed up in Esav's clothing? The scientists we explained that the Moishe Hamoichin dafke. It's only way to makabel the Inyan. What's the meaning of the begodim? Well, what did he say before? What's the whole point of this paragraph? The avodah of tshuva. So how is that implied in the begodim? Poshet?
Takes the big day, so the actions and the thought, speech, and actions he had, that was thought, speech, and actions of the Esav. He brings it to... That's
tshuva of his betrayal, of his treachery. That was the touch he said before. That it goes on the inyan of what? Of the Avedas. There, begodim, it's negative. It's Avedas, but that's the point. The point is that the Baal Tshuva, because he was over Avedas, so through his tshuva, so this is even higher, and he says the tachlis is not the tachlis. The tachlis is not the sinners doing tshuva, the tzaddik doing tshuva. That was the point of the Maimon. That Yaakov does tshuva. That's the tachlis of tshuva. For the Baal Tshuva, it means even after he's a so-called tzaddik, and relatively speaking he is, and now as tshuvaton, as I'm referring to, right? The Rebbe asked as a child, he's asked his father after him, I don't know if he was a child, but he asked his father after him Kippur, now what? He said, now we have to erst do tshuva. Now it really begins. Oh no, this is the tshuva of the tzaddik, which is the tachlis. It's pretty easy, relatively speaking, to do tshuva when we sin. I mean, the stakes are high, it's obvious. As we said the other day, being in a sinful state is very unpleasant. It stinks. So you want to get out of there. So that's one level of tshuva. But the tachlis of tshuva is the tshuva of the tzaddik. As explained, I think Chassidus and in this mind too a little bit. The yearning, the longing of the tzaddik, the erchayz of the tzaddik, the one who recognizes with all of his avodah and everything, it's the greatest peled, erchayzer, cannot believe that he is a yid and awesomeness of it, the wonder of it all, that he can put on film and do a mitzvah, and the Eibush accepts it and wants it, and once is davening, and once is, it's forever a great wonder. That's tshuva, and therefore he's never ever smug in his avodah. Smug, he's humbled by his avodah. That's the tshuva of the tzaddik, which is not easy to do because he's justified, he's entitled, he's earned it, he's a good boy, he's a nice boy. So the tachlis is the tshuva of the tzaddik, and I've just said now, it means for the Baal Tshuva, the classic Baal Tshuva, the tshuva that he did from being a boigid, treachery, but literally avedis to mitzvahs is one level. Then comes the tshuva dafke afterwards. Now another taich. Clear? Yeah. So now another taich. Where are we here? Everybody has the place. Zeh gam ha'inyan dereyach begodov meloshem beigdov. So treachery. What's it? Here's a positive treachery. He's a traitor. Sheboigid beteva ha'olam v'shoivre. He's a traitor to the world and breaks it. I'm not part of this. He's in the world, so he looks externally like he's part of it. He's in business, does everything everybody else does. But all of a sudden you see, no, that's not why he's here. You see, it's all for the tzedakah, it's all to bring a likus. He's not into this. So the world is like shocked. There's the element of healthy treachery here, of betrayal. I'm not here for the reason you think I am. I don't know, I just posted a clip on the Fabrengen chat, you should watch it. A father that his wife and child are kidnapped, and he's speaking to the European Parliament. It's just, and in the end, he stands up and says, Shema Yisrael. Put his hand on his head and says, Shema Yisrael. To their utter shock. That's begida. That's the betrayal. You think I'm here groveling at your feet for your help? We have a schus to be part of it. That's your schus to be saying the Shema Yisrael. It's more than that. It's higher than words. So this is a healthy begida. Look at these words. He betrays the nature of the world. He betrays it. For sure, he breaks it. For sure, he's not affected by the world. That doesn't define him, and he doesn't define his life by it. That's for sure. But not only that, he rebels against it. This whole thing, it's all for alikus. It's for neshama. It's all to make a dirala yizbarach. That's the whole reason for all of this. So this is the avodah of tshuva. Shal yoda mamshichim hagila yois and naila d'shem elikim. Through tshuva, a yid draws down the loftiest levels kvishu of Shem elikim, not Shem elikim as it is lamata, which is pure tzimtzum v'helim, but rather kvishu b'shorsha as elikim is in its source deeper than Shem havaya, deeper than chesed, deeper than oir. B'pchin as gvura da'atik. And because it's higher than oir, it cannot come down in the way of oir, of illumination, of enlightenment. This is not enlightenment, this is his spilus. Yes, it's entertained and he understands it in his mind, but it's forever the gewalt of the truth, of the Eibishter and him. And therefore, therefore, Lasid Lovay, when Mashiach will come, when then will be fulfilled the brachas that Yitzchak benched Yaakov, in brackets, Yetz K'mayim Barazal, this is a medrash. Shabrachas sheberech Yitzchak is Esav, the brachas that Esav got from Yitzchak, Miyad Beilam has, he got right away. V'il brachas sheberech Yitzchak is Yaakov Yiskayim Lasid Lovay, those brachas that when Mashiach will come, which we are on the precipice of So then will be Tiyashlemus Havodah. What's going to be then? The Avodah will be the Betachlis, which is again starting now. Avodah Tzadikim, Avodah Abali Tshuva, Gam Yochad, both Avodas in the same person. There's the Poshet Avodah of Tshuva, first level on Avodas. And then there's Avodah Tzadikim, and then there's the Tshuva in Avodah Tzadikim. Kemaimer says in Zoyar, Mashiach Chosam, Mashiach will come, Lassobet Tzadikai B'tshuv, to make the Tzadikim do Tshuva, and they tell us at the end of the Maimer they're missing. Maybe they were such a spy list they couldn't remember the end of the Maimer. It was Chayzer, for the Chayzer. Well, we're grateful to what they remember till now. Rabbi, whoever it was. Okay, so that's the Maimer. Yeah, gewaltige Maimer. Very deep Maimer, but same time extremely personal and practical. So let's a quick overview. So I'm going to put this to a vote. We're going to do an overview like going through each ois quickly, relatively speaking, or just read the Teichen Ha'inyanim and then go now to the Yitzkist of Maimer.
Start by reading the Teichen. Like this, we'll know what we learned.
Okay,
if we're on target, not if that we're on target, and nothing coming redden.
Okay, so the president. We'll listen to our president.
So happy I got a title this morning. It's a Machaya. You made my day, probably my week and the month.
Not your life, but anyway, it's not the first time I called you the president. That was my design. Okay, we'll do that. Let's go to it.
Usually presidents you listen to, but in this case, Baruch Hashem.
Okay, so I'll read to you. You don't have it unless you have the Sefer Mamorim. I'll translate the Teichen in Yonim. Excuse me. There's two levels of Tainuk, as implied by the Lashon Rabbi in the Pasuk, the plural Ava betanugim, in the plural. Plural always means two and not more, because if it means more than two, the Torah will say so it's always two. What was the question? You just tell me. So there was a shaila on that. Ava betanugim. What was the question?
Why it was plural?
Pardon?
Why it's plural to begin with?
Why not? What's the problem with the plural Ava betanugim?
There's one God. You take pleasure in God. What's the other thing?
That's right. There's one God. Mela Gashmis. There's all kinds of tanugim. Innocent tanugim, music, art, intellectual tanugim. Betalikus. So the answer is it is one tanug. It's one address. But what's the Lashon Rabim? There's the tanug of a pnimi that he understands and is grasped. That's a yosher. So there's the aspect of Yiddishkeit in general that a person understands and appreciates in thousands of svarim of explanation. And malakal almin, the level of Torah that he understands, etc. Many manifestations of Eir Yosher and Ava betanugim. Many levels to this, starting with I love what you do for me. That's his blessings, his life, his chayas. I'm alive, wife, children, all the blessings. So this is something he understands and appreciates. And then there's the Tanig, which is a makif, that cannot be contained by the mind or the heart, and that hovers, as it were. That's called erchayz. And again, what's the example of that? Repeating the whole mashal again. What's the example for that?
A long lost brother.
Yes, in long lost brother there were two ifanim. The first one is the Yosha one is also a time going to come suddenly, but what? He knows he's alive, and he's searching him for 75 years and finds him, but he knows he's alive. And what's this, the marshal of Chayzer is?
He doesn't even know.
He didn't know that his brother survived, and then all of a sudden he's told, this can bring to Klesa Nefesh Mamash. So that's what we're talking. That's Ava Betandugim. So that's the Tainug, the levels of Tainug, and that because the corresponding levels of Ava Betandugim, Ava Kamayim, which is Bederach Malmayla Lamata. That's Midas. Who's that? That's the Madrega of who? Ava Kamayim. Mayim is Chesed. That's who? Avraham. Then there's Ava Karish Beyesh, fire. The fire, literally. Do you remember? Tell me how the fire itself, the flame, exhibits the properties of our chayzer. The Gashmis.
It goes up and always wants to
it's escaping.
Remove itself.
Held back. It's escaping. It's Klesa Nefesh. It's Rotz V'Shuv. But the Tnuah is Malamata Lamayla. The Tnuah, the movement is heavenward, overwhelmed. That's the Madrege of Yitzchak. So now that he answers the question, why is Veyiten L'cha Likim and not Veyiten L'cha Havaya, as we would have expected, Havaya being Chesed? Because we're talking about Shem Likim in its source, Midas HaGvura, Gvura Da'atik, the intense pleasure and love, the intense, crazy, intense pleasure and therefore love. He traced through how pleasure is then manifests in intense pleasure and intense love, which means desire to be close. That the Eibishter has for every year, the person can't contain this. This can't believe this. So this is what Yitzchak is blessing with Veyiten L'cha Likim. And this can only come down, and it comes down away and has to therefore come only through, fill in the blanks now just very briefly. Why must it come through the Seiros? Yaakov has to be wearing the hair of Esav because, make it simple, such an intense love that God, Tainug and Ava, God has for us is not something we could possibly what? Fill in the blank. Internalize, justify, feel entitled to. So therefore, it's not Misiyashiv in Seichel in the heart. So where is it? It's Chayzer, meaning, you're aware of it. Of course, you're hugging your long-lost brother. The biggest Tainug possible. It's Cyrus. But in the Cyrus is the Etzem Achayis. When the Gvura Sheba'atik is revealed. Which means in this encounter, this is the Tainug of Gvura Da'atik. But what? It cannot be Misyashiv in Seichel. Ever. It's Chayzer. Cyrus, it's on the glimmer, it's the Reshimas, Moishe HaMoichin. The intelligence understands it only residually as opposed to intellectually justifying it and explaining it. Okay, you understand now? Moishe and Cyrus. It's clear. Yes? Folks, response. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. The president represents you all. And what is it? Navayde concludes, and Navayde, it's a Yosh, it's Navayde Tzadikim, Nerchais, it's Navayde Bali Tshuva. And therefore, Yitzchak wanted to bench Esav Dafke in order to mevada the very high Nitzutzik Dushas that he has, which is the Navayde of Tshuva. He sees all this potential in Esav. The Gewalt. Esav is the crazy one. It is the Toiho. He's rooted in this place. It's where he comes from. That's why he's agitated and he's angry and his violence is really a terrible corruption of a gewaltige Chayzer, a gewaltige Gewalt. And he wants to bench him. But it's got to go through the agency of who? Of Yaakov, Avidas Tzadikim, and Yaakov Dafke, because Yaakov is the Neshama. Yaakov is what? Ish Cholak. What does it mean? No Cyrus. Who is Yaakov? Who is Yaakov before he dresses up in Esav's Seiros? Who is he? What is he? What is this level? Before he dresses up in the Seiros, what's being dressed up in the hair of Esav? Before that, he's what? What is it? Yaakov? Etzem and Neshama. Hayden Avram and Hayden Yitzchak. But the neshama has to come, the Eibishter wanted the neshama to come down into Atzilus, into Ishtalshalus, and then into a guf. And they're limited in the guf with a seichel and a mind and a heart to feel this tainug atzmi. That you need to have what? That must come in the way of what? Fill in the blank. For the neshama to access this tainug atzmi of the Eibishter, while it is lamata and ishtalshalus, as in becoming a nivra in the guf, can only come in the way of the chayza, the sidus of the Moishe Samarichin, as explained. And furthermore, the idea is that it has to go dafka through Yaakov, because the tachlis of tshuva is not that Esau should do tshuva. What's he going to do tshuva? How long can you be like this? But the tachlis is what? Who should do tshuva? That Yaakov, the tzaddik, should do tshuva. And again, as we said, this classic tshuva, then we become a nice little tzaddik, and then the tshuva starts. After Yom Kippur, Mitzvah Yom Kippur, after the forgiveness, and after everything, now's when the tshuva starts. Now's when the real appreciation starts. And that's the Pshat Medrash, that the Medrash says the whole thing is in the Torah. Why? Because he has Torah Yaakov already, but the Torah till now he has was like a Avraham Torah. It was a Chesed Torah. It was nice, it was beautiful, it was easy, inspiring. Now Yitzchak tells him has to be the heart of Vanya in Torah, not just a Yosher or Chayzer, the Avodah of Bali Tshuva. That's what Yitzchak is, blessing Yaakov, and that's why his brachas will be Nizgal L'Lasid Lavik, that's will be the tachlis of the Avodah then, which we are doing now. I once told you that the Rebbe said, Ben Pashtas, what's the meaning of the tzaddikim doing tshuva? Shlichus. That's the one manifestation of the tzaddik doing tshuva. He said, close the Gemara and go out there and help another Yid. As I told you the story, I'll show you the pictures. Have a look at the pictures. From my cousin. Yesterday. Skvera Chassid, full regalia, putting on film on these chavre. How you do it? Okay, you see. I think this is his lawyer who was crying. An Israeli, they're lining up to put on film. This is in a cafe in Miami. Eibishter, this is can't get better than this.